Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's section of reads. This should be on the YouTube channel, James13 Wicca, in case you're seeing it somewhere else. The decks and dice I'm using in the videos are listed below for this section, of course. And if you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and let's go ahead and get into the one that you chose. Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Capricorn? We're heading towards the Ace of Pentacles. Very positive card for Capricorn. We're heading towards it, though. Both of them? Okay, what are they? Fire cards. Fire cards, okay. Okay, so I feel like we're heading to, this is where we want to get. This is the Ace of Pentacles energy too. How do we, this is what we need. What do we need to get? Like, how do we get to here? How do we bring this into the future? Because the current situation, I do not think is where you really want it to be. And I feel like you're stabilizing what you are able to, but there's a lot of something going on here. I feel a lot of moving pieces, a lot of open and closed doors, a lot of trap doors. I don't know, like, this is a general read, just to be fair. So I don't know the intention of who or what you're dealing with. I do know that this energy can be very difficult sometimes for Capricorn because it tries to smooth things over and finds different ways to do things and keeps changing the landscape sometimes in order to get along better. And sometimes that can be very aggravating for Capricorn. Does Capricorn like justice? Yes, but it's something sensible that makes sense to you, that you can see all the pieces in a row. It doesn't need to be a mystery, and sometimes this card has some mystery with it. It's kind of like there's a lot going on behind closed doors. This could be a very political card, especially when it's paired up with the King of Fire. Don't get caught up in the gender, but there's a lot of things happening very quickly, and it's just kind of like not everything makes sense, and not everything seems like that was correct, but there's a lot hidden behind the scenes, and this can be very frustrating for Capricorn. Kind of like, you know, if it's all legit and if it's all fair, why can't we just be transparent about it? And there's a lot of like hidden, I feel like there's a lot of hidden energy here. I got the World coming in with the 9 of Fire reversed, and it seems like a lot of things have been let go. And part of this is like, I don't like some of this that's been let go, and I don't understand the decisions and like why we made certain decisions, but there's a lot missing here. And there's not a lot of energy going back to explain it. And it's kind of like the foundation doesn't totally make sense is what I'm getting. And I'm not feeling like I'm going to be getting that information. I could try to force it, but I feel like if I keep doing that, not only is it's going to take up a lot of time, I don't trust where it's coming from. So it's kind of like I could try to force the issue and I might get answers, but are they the real answers is more of a question mark in my opinion. So it's kind of like it's a fruitless fight. These aren't bad cards. They're just not feeling like they're adding up the way I want them to. There's motion with that. They're sitting with that. Okay, that's a good point. There's a lot of communication coming out, but I don't seem to really like what I'm hearing. I'm getting that too. A lot of communication coming out. stress coming in with it. It makes me unhappy because I'm just like, this used to frustrate me in certain jobs. People ask questions and we don't get any new information. And it's kind of like, especially when people keep asking the same question in a different way, it's kind of like you're going to get the same answer. You're just going to keep getting the same answer. It becomes frustrating when it seems more like time wasted than anything else. I feel like, especially I've been at certain jobs where it's like, you know, they're not going to tell you anything. They're just going to find you they're just going to find creative ways to say no. And especially if you work in a job like I have where you're not allowed to say the word no, you have to find a different way to say it. And they're telling you no, they're just not saying it direct. I find that so obnoxious. Just say no and get it over with. Just say no and get it over with. I don't feel like I don't like how things are being said. And I don't like what's being said. I am seeing this, like, you're not happy about communication in this situation, and you don't like where it's going. And I keep getting, like, I don't trust it, but I also get the situation is moving on, and it's just, especially if it's a work situation, which it doesn't have to be, could be family, but it's kind of like whatever's being said and done, I don't like it, and then it's just moving on, like, well, it's done, and we're just not going to talk about that anymore. And it's kind of like there was really no answers. The energy's moving on. And again, this is one of those things where they're like, it's about what do you need that you can realistically get from this situation? What needs to happen here? The cornucopia is kind of like, there's an opportunity for you to see it for what it is, not waste your time in things that aren't going to give you what you need anyway, and kind of like reevaluate what is real here, what can you control here, and what can you legitimately not only get a hold of, but keep hold of. And sometimes in job situations, there's only so much we can do. Because I'm getting, it's kind of time to like see things for what they are, see people for who they are, and kind of like take what you can keep and don't let the negativity hold you down. I feel like that's a lot to ask. Because, I don't know. Capricorn is about structure and what makes sense and why this is here and where it came from. And we need a strong, firm, dependable base to build from. And if I can't get that, that's a lot. Okay, so it's kind of like, what can you build from? What can you take forward? Going forward, I don't have a lot of trust for what I see happening. Whatever you're dealing with, I keep getting people trying to tell me what they think they need to say to me to get what they want from me. So I feel like we're more based in fiction than fact, because they're just kind of like, well, if you believe that, I'll say that just to get what I want out of you. You know, those people. Whatever I need to say to you to get what I want out of you. I don't. As long as you don't find out that I told you a big lie, who cares? That seems to be their attitude. These cards aren't bad, but the way I just feel like this is what I feel coming towards me, because you're getting a chance to move forward and reestablish things the way you want it to be established. You can do healing, but it's more personal. Like, if you get personal closure on your own terms, I wouldn't depend on somebody else for it. You'd have the possibility for some healing here. I'm really nervous about the information coming towards you. This is coming in on the layout that it's on the table here. This is kind of like, this is the challenge. This isn't really working right. This is you putting forth the effort to heal a situation, but they're like, there can be some healing here, but it's all personal, all closure that you have to supply yourself. If you're working with somebody else and trying to help work forward and healing through somebody else, or, you know, in some sense, I don't feel like that's going to be as dependable. Another version of this, another option at this time, and I'm going to do the dice on this. I see the universe, which is the world card. Tower card does show up, but it's coming in like this, which is telling me addressing the situation, like this situation may not have the longevity that I originally thought. And I'm also getting the King of Cups upside down. There are certain people here that they just tell you stories, basically. And it's seeing that for what it is. And I hate to say accepting it, but I feel like it is a version of accepting, like, they are who they are. Easy way to see it is if you watch how they treat other people, and they do tell other people stories. And I feel like if I really kind of angle it that way, and I'm noticing when it suits them, they will tell stories. I feel like I've seen it before. And for some reason, I want to believe they wouldn't do that to me, but they'll do that to you. And this is going into a whole new level. This is changing the whole outlook of the situation. I feel like once I realize that's what I'm dealing with and I accept it, it's not a pleasurable thing, but it's kind of like, this is how I need to reform the foundation to get some stability here. Somebody in this situation is just saying what they're saying, and it's about them getting the result. It's not about the truth. It's about them getting the result they want. You'll go into the next situation where you're going to feel kind of like trapped a little bit, but I feel like I'm holding back and I'm watching more, and I'm feeling like the trap, this all tied up. I feel like I'm very kind of like, oh, okay, I'm tied up in this situation. And I'm seeing it, and I'm stepping back more, and I'm paying attention more. And I feel like I am getting a little bit more critical. But if you are, it's totally warranted. It's not critical like, that wasn't exactly perfect. That's not that type of critical. It's a critical kind of like, that doesn't look right. I should look a little deeper in that. And maybe I wouldn't do that for everybody, but for this one, I'm thinking that they're lying a lot more than they're telling the truth. So it's kind of like critical, like I'm seeing something and I'm going to look deeper into that. That's the critical part. I wouldn't do that for everybody, but this one, I'm getting more critical about everything they do because I want to know if they really are the liar that they're starting to look like. So critical in that sense. It's warranted. And it's stressful. And the next card is the Eight of Swords, which is ironic because you have the all tied up. But I kept thinking that these two cards are alike, all tied up in this one. And basically, it's kind of like, I don't feel like I have a choice anymore. I have to find the truth. And I feel like I'm kind of painted into a corner on this one. Kind of like, if that's who this person really is, if that's how this is really working, that's going to be a no-go for me. And that's going to mean I have to make some big decisions. Because this isn't going to work. There's no stability in liars. There's no stability in liars. You can't build a firm base with liars. You can't do it. You can't. And I don't want to see it that way, but if that's what's really going on here, that's gonna put me in a position to make some decisions, because that's unacceptable. That's flat out unacceptable. It's hard to go down that path, but also that's why I feel like you're getting critical, but in a good way, kind of like I'm getting critical, like, is that actually the truth? Is that actually, and how much do we lie about? What level? How often? Is it just like they're breathing, so they're lying? Is it that bad? Or is it like strategic and like here and there based on what they want? Like some people, like every breath is a lie. I swear, every breath. Other people, they're a little bit, they sprinkle it out here and there for their purposes. Some people just literally couldn't tell the truth if they tripped over it. I don't know what to tell you. And it's kind of like, it depends on what you're finding. But I also feel like either way, if they're lying based on what they want, it's like I can't trust them to tell me the truth when the chips are down. I can't build from that. I can't do anything with that. I don't feel like I want to, but there are possibilities for change here. And it's like I'm starting to research what's around. I feel like I'm going to start researching and finding there are other things around here, but it's going to take me a minute to really decide what I really want to do. And there's a weird sense of peace with this. A weird sense of peace. Okay, we'll go with that. You're not going to make quick decisions. The indecision is kind of like, I'm seeing it for what it is, and now I'm going to make a different choice, but I'm going to take my time with it. And I feel like I'm getting along with the 10 of Cups. There's an odd sense of peace here, kind of like, I know I'm going to need to make a decision, but I'm taking my time with it. But since I know this isn't going to work for me anymore, the stress has come down a lot. It could be a family situation where you're like, certain people, I'm just not going to be around them anymore. I'm going to, disconnect. Maybe I have a camp with them or like next to them. I'm going to either sell that camp or I'm going to buy something somewhere else. I'm not going to be spending that time with them anymore. If it's a job thing, you might be considering changing departments or possibly companies. Could be something like that. You might have a business partner where, I got to find a way to get them out of this business or get me out of this business and go on my own or do it with somebody else because this is unacceptable. But it's kind of like, while I've made that decision that this doesn't have any future to it, I don't seem to go crazy trying to maintain it the same way. I do the respectable thing, and I'm going to make sure my assets are secure, but I don't worry about what they need anymore. They may want this, they may want that, because I've seen this in a job sense. I had a job that I just felt like they screwed me over one too many times. And once I made up my mind that I was leaving, it was probably like 3 or 4 months. I stopped trying to worry. I just stopped worrying about, like, they had the requirements, like, you got to hit this number, you got to hit that number. I didn't care. I just did the job respectfully to the point where I'm like, I did the right thing. I did what I'm paid for, but like their little quotas, I don't care. Literally didn't care. And the energy went down so much. Ironically, I did well in those last few months, which I thought was funny. Because I was still doing really well. I just didn't care. I don't know how to explain that. And I'm thinking that might be what's going on here. I did too. I did really well. I just literally didn't care. Odd. You have choices coming. You got the Prince and Queen of Fire. You'll be making choices going forward, but in the appropriate times, the way you feel is necessary. This is action going forward as you see fit. And this is going to create a change for you because there's going to be certain things here that are not acceptable and you will not stand for it. You will also not give somebody else the advantage to make decisions against you. So there might be some secrecy here on your side. I feel like that's totally warranted because you're not going to give somebody the advantage when they weren't playing respectfully to begin with. Why play why do that? Why tell them all the moves you're going to make when they're pulling lies left and right? If that's how this is going. It's a general read, take it with a grain of salt, All right, I think we're done. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.